Confronting Agenda 21, produced jointly by Sovereignty International and Freedom 21. Agenda 21 is a UN policy document adopted by 179 nations in 1992 at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development in Rio de Janeiro. According to the UN, it is a comprehensive plan of action to be taken globally, nationally, and locally by organizations of the United Nations system, governments, and major groups in every area in which human impacts on the environment. Agenda 21 defines sustainable development to be economic development that is socially equitable and environmentally safe. Agenda 21 usually enters a community through a visioning process, sponsored by a local planning commission or non-government organizations, or both. The process calls on selected local citizens to develop a vision of what they think the community should be like in the future. Invariably, the vision produced conforms to the principles of sustainable development, as defined in Agenda 21. A comprehensive plan is then developed to achieve the vision. When local elected officials adopt the plan as an ordinance, property owners discover that they must obtain permission from the government to use their property. Let's see this process unfold in California.
So welcome to You Choose Contra Costa County. I am Erica Wood, Vice President of Community Leadership at Silicon Valley Community Foundation. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what to expect this morning, but before I do, it's my distinct pleasure to have two leaders in Contra Costa County welcome you to You Choose this morning. We have Federal Glover here representing the county on the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, and Amy Worth representing cities on the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. And I'll let them say a few words of welcome, and then we'll get going.
Good morning. You choose Contra Costa County. Your home, your future, your choice. Boy, what a wonderful opportunity. Today is our opportunity to make sure that our voices are heard, that when we look at our plan, that plan represents what we would like to see within our communities. And now to come up is my colleague, is Amy Worth, who will give you also a welcome and some other information.
It's an honor for me to join Federal in welcoming you to today's workshop with One Bay Area. It is my real pleasure to welcome and to thank you very much for spending your Saturday morning helping our region and our county. How do we grow our communities in a way that respects local character, but that is sustainable and helps our region meet the goals for economy, the environment, and social equity? We'll adopt this plan known as Plan Bay Area by the spring of 2013. So you are getting an early opportunity to help shape that blueprint. MTC and ABAG have teamed up with the Silicon Valley Foundation and a group of nonprofit organizations known as Envision Bay Area to produce today's meeting.
It sounds as if the leaders of the visioning session are interested in the ideas of the participants. They are not. They're interested in having the audience affirm a set of predetermined ideas.
Have a chance right now to give your advice, your best thinking to the staff of the agencies that are responsible for putting this plan together.
Everybody's going to need a wireless voting keypad for the next segment, so make sure that you've got that. If you don't put your hand up, we'll make sure that you get one. Terrific. Let's go, and we'll ask our first question here. Start off easy. So what you're going to do is you're going to look for either number 1 or number 2 on your keypad there. Yeah, so yeah, just to make sure, you can press it a couple times. We've got 61. That feels about right. Has everybody had a chance to vote? Okay, let's see. Okay, so even though the graph looks a little funny, 54% to 46%, that's pretty balanced.
Please note that there are 61 people in the room, which includes 4 elected officials and staff from the Silicon Valley Community Foundation, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, Envision Bay Area, the Association of Bay Area Governments, and a facilitator for every table. There's no way to know how many ordinary citizens participated.
57 in, almost all of us, probably about 61 in the room. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create an average for all of these, and then we're going to rank and sort them so we can look at scenarios according to your own priorities. So this one has got, interestingly, people have used all 5 buttons, so there's people voting all across the spectrum on clean air. Let's look at the next one. The next one is conserving open space. So Margot has tabulated the results here. So we're going to drag these around and put them in a list of order from the lowest priority to the highest priority. Margot?
Easy and low-cost parking is the lowest.
Easy and low-cost parking.
Large homes, big schools.
Safer access to schools.
Less driving overall.
Less driving overall.
Conserve water.
Conserve water.
Conserve open space.
Conserve open space.
Daily needs close to home.
Daily needs close to home.
Lower carbon emissions.
Lower carbon emissions.
Clean air.
Clean air.
Convenient access to jobs.
Convenient access to jobs. So there, according to the votes that we've just rendered, is one look at these priorities.
The facilitators did not want ideas from the participants. They wanted the participants to prioritize a list of predetermined objectives.
I feel like those are a little manipulated. I was, not given the choices or the choice to speak the views that I had. I was given the option to choose from choices predetermined for me. And I feel like my voice that I came to use wasn't given as much credence as the partnerships of these nonprofits that are already here, standing up, presenting the program to me. And I'm having a very hard time just deciphering how they are so involved so early on in the process when this is being presented to me as a citizen as a new beginning stage program. So I feel very twisted today in that direction.
I don't know if you can do what they're trying to do, where it would work and where it could protect freedom, because you don't have the freedom of where you can live where you want to live and work where you want to work. It seems like it takes away some freedom to be able to accomplish what they want to accomplish.
I don't think it's honest. I think they're actually presenting options that they already are limited to, or they want you to be limited to. And so they want to make you believe that it's your idea, that you had an input and that you came up with this stuff. And so then they use that report back or whatever they're doing as evidence that yes, this has a groundswell of approval, or we're not going to have many problems, or blah, blah, blah.
Although Amy Worth did tie the Bay Area Plan directly to the UN's definition of sustainable development, no one has mentioned Agenda 21. There is a reason for that. J. Gary Lawrence, an advisor to Bill Clinton's President's Council on Sustainable Development and a chief planner for the city of Seattle, told a London audience that in the case of the United States, our local authorities are engaged in planning processes consistent with Local Agenda 21, but there is little interest in using the Local Agenda 21 brand. Participating in a UN-advocated planning process would very likely bring out many of the conspiracy-fixated groups and individuals in our society, such as the National Rifle Association, citizen militias, and some members of Congress. This segment of our society, who fear one world government and a UN invasion of the United States through which our individual freedom would be stripped away, would actively work to defeat any elected official who joined the conspiracy by undertaking Local Agenda 21. So we call our processes something else, such as comprehensive planning, growth management, or smart growth. Whether the process is called Local Agenda 21, Smart Growth, or Envision Bay Area, the predetermined goals are remarkably consistent with Agenda 21. Let's look at the program elements in Chapter 7 of Agenda 21 to see just how closely they match with the priorities set during the Envision Bay Area exercise. Agenda 21 calls for providing adequate shelter for all. You Choose Bay Area calls for more affordable homes. Agenda 21 calls for promoting sustainable land use planning and management. You Choose Bay Area wants to conserve open space, conserve water, and clean air. Agenda 21 calls for improving human settlement management. You Choose Bay Area calls for daily needs close to home, convenient access to jobs, and safer access to schools. Agenda 21 calls for promoting sustainable energy and transport systems in human settlements. You Choose Bay Area calls for less driving overall, less local traffic, and lower carbon emissions. An in-depth study of Chapter 7 of Agenda 21 reveals the basis for the entire discussion at this Bay Area visioning session. Greenville County, South Carolina, underwent an Imagine Greenville County visioning process. Let's see how the elements of their vision compares to the elements in Agenda 21, Chapter 7. The Greenville Plan will provide for housing, better land use control, preserving rural areas, farmland, and open space, impact fees for development and infill development, and clean air and transportation options. The same elements, expressed in slightly different words, dominate the Bradley County Plan. Housing choices, efficient infrastructure-directed growth, livability and quality of life, and transportation choices. These rather bland terms take on new meaning when read in the details of the plan, especially when compared to the details of Chapter 7 of Agenda 21. Glades County, Florida, underwent the visioning process in 2006. This group decided they wanted to meet the housing element using the clustered rural village concept, promote land use planning by preserving the natural environment and requiring resource preservation, manage human settlements by restricting development, and promote sustainable energy by providing transportation choices to residents. Every local comprehensive plan that we've analyzed addresses every one of the 8 basic elements set forth in Chapter 7 of Agenda 21. Providing adequate shelter for all, improving human settlement management, promoting sustainable land use planning and management, promoting integrated provision of environmental infrastructure, water, sanitation, drainage, and waste management, promoting sustainable energy and transport systems in human settlements, promoting human settlement planning and management in disaster-prone areas, promoting sustainable construction industry activities, and promoting human resource development and capacity building for human settlement development. This is not a coincidence. Every visioning process we've analyzed reveals that trained facilitators manipulate participants into expressing an opinion about a set of predetermined objectives. And in every instance, the number of actual ordinary citizens who participate is a microscopically small percentage of the area's population. In Greenville County, South Carolina, facilitators conducted 9 public meetings. Fewer than 350 people, including the staff members of the various sponsoring organizations and governments, created the comprehensive land use plan that will govern more than 450,000 Greenville residents. Here are the top 6 issues identified by the 50 participants at the March 25th meeting at the Blue Ridge High School. 1. Protection of natural resources. 2, proposed animal shelter. 3, need for better land use controls. 4, protection of private property rights. Here are the top priorities identified by the facilitators in their final report from the same meeting. 1, clean air and water. 2, preserving rural areas. 3, maintaining natural beauty. 4, historic preservation. Please note that the participants' concern about private property and too much government didn't make it into the facilitator's final report at all. This same kind of disparity exists between the participants' issue identification and the facilitator's report from each of the Greenville meetings. We have learned that Agenda 21 enters most communities through a visioning process designed to create a vision of the future that is consistent with the future envisioned in Agenda 21. This process recruits a handful of unsuspecting citizens to prioritize a set of predetermined objectives, and we have seen that the priorities set by the participants may or may not be included in the facilitator's final report. This vision then becomes the basis for the creation of a comprehensive land use plan that puts local government in the position of managing virtually all activities within the sustainable community. Implementation of Agenda 21 and sustainable development is now a thriving government-subsidized industry. A giant in this industry is ICLEI, International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives, recently renamed Local Governments for Sustainability. Jeb Brugman told reporter Joan Bion, "We got a call by the head of the United Nations Environment Program in New York, inviting us to come to the UN to have a global meeting of local governments to determine how we could play a role in other global environmental accords." ICLEI has more than 1,200 municipalities under its membership contract. More than half are in the United States. The purpose of this public-private partnership is to allow ICLEI to provide software that measures carbon emissions and to provide consultations and advice to the municipality in ways to meet the sustainability objectives set forth in the community's visioning statement and comprehensive land use plan. It's hard to comprehend just how thoroughly Agenda 21 has permeated American cities with little or no resistance, until recently, when Tea Parties, 9/12 groups, and property rights organizations began to see the negative impact of Agenda 21 on local communities. Let's see how ICLEI was introduced to Titusville, Florida.
On to new business, item 12A, selection of an elected official as liaison to the International Council of Local Environmental Initiatives, or ICLEI. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Titusville Environmental Commission, or TEC, requested the City Council to join the ICLEI at the July 13, 2010 meeting. At this meeting, the Council authorized the City to join the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives, or ICLEI. As a part of the application process, the name of elected official liaison is to be provided. The City, within 6 months of joining, will have to adopt a resolution to affirm the City's commitment to climate protection and sustainability. We have included in the agenda package the resolution that's provided as a sample. You'll recall Mr. Dean Pennant, the chairman of the Titusville Environmental Commission, made the request back in July, and he's here to follow up on that request.
Okay. The stated mission of the ICLEI is to build, serve, and drive a movement of local governments to advance reductions in greenhouse gas emissions and achieve tangible improvements in local sustainability. ICLEI USA acts as a consultant and resource-sharing network to its local government members. Local governments typically join ICLEI to access its energy and greenhouse gas accounting software, which is our primary goal. We also access tools, technical guidance, training, and peer networking to connect to other local governments and share questions and solutions. They also help to represent local governments in international climate meetings and negotiations. The only other requirement is annual membership dues based on population size. Due to our population, our membership dues are $600. Your comprehensive plan calls for you to develop an action plan by 2012, and that's what we are trying to assist the city in doing.
In Part 2, we'll see how these comprehensive plans impact a few communities and some individuals.